Jeremy, you want to start?
So my name is Jeremy Strauser. I'm the COO of Bee Cave Games. It's the one up there with the large B. We are a social and RMG casino developer based in Austin, Texas. Many of our staff are former Zynga, having worked on Zynga Poker or Zynga Bingo slots, things like that. And most of our staff has been in the video game industry for 15 plus years. We have not recently sold. We're about a year and a half old. We've raised 3 small seed rounds, most recently in December, raising $1.9 million in a mixture of venture funds and individual investment.
Hi, I'm Asaf Barzilai. I'm coming from Extreme Reality.
Can you hear him? Okay. A little closer to the mic.
Asaf Barzilai, coming from Extreme Reality. I'm the VP of Product and R&D. And Extreme Reality is a company based in Israel. It's about 30 people. And what we do is we bring motion experience to various platforms, taking the Kinect-like experience and bringing it to any webcam on any device, iPads, Androids, and PCs. The company is a very R&D oriented company. We are providing a technological layer that suits game developers throughout various platforms. I'm at the company for 2 years already, and we've recently raised $10 million, which we're very happy and proud of, since it allows us a long opportunity to continue and develop the technology. The investment was partially from financial investors and partially from new strategic investors.
Okay, congratulations. Lior?
Yes. Hello, my name is Lior Shif. I'm the co-founder and managing director of Product Madness. Product Madness is a company that was founded in 2007 out of San Francisco. We're in the business of virtual currency casino games, social casino games, on Facebook and mobile. Roughly a year ago, the company has been acquired by Aristocrat, which is a publicly traded Australian company. They're the world's second biggest manufacturer of slot machines. So can definitely talk about that experience. We also went to market a couple of years before that, and obviously that did not end with a transaction. So a lot of the don'ts that were in that slides, we actually tested those, to verify that they are actually don'ts. So they are definitely don'ts. So we could talk about both experiences and difference, and also happy to talk about the experience actually being part of a bigger company, coming from running your own startup.
Burkhard?
So hello, my name is Burkhard Reitheiser. I'm one of the co-founders of Related Design Software, and we are a German-based games developer. We're a leading developer in the strategy games sector, and last year we were acquired by Ubisoft, last year in April. And Ubisoft, I think everybody knows Ubisoft. It's worldwide one of the biggest games publisher, and the company was completely bootstrapped. So actually we were founded out of a garage, typical cliche. And when I'm attending this conference, actually I feel pretty much like a dinosaur, because I actually started developing games on the CBM 64, Commodore Amiga, those home computers back then. And currently I'm still with Ubisoft. I'm really happy to work as a senior producer within Ubisoft. I'm leading a really outstanding dev team, and we're creating really outstanding new products.
So let me ask you, Burkhard, so did they make you relocate to Paris, or are you still in Germany?
No, we're still in Mainz. It's close to Frankfurt. And we're pretty happy to be staying in Mainz. And Ubisoft has so many dev teams worldwide. So in Ubisoft, it's all about collaborating and sharing information. So we have a very, very efficient internal network to share and contribute, to collaborate. And so being in different locations isn't an issue at all.
Okay, and how long did the process take?
So pretty long. It took almost 1 year. So because also I was leading for on the seller's side. I was leading the negotiation.
Yeah.
So you really must prepare for quite an emotional ride, especially if things take really 1 year. But for us it was very important because it took also a couple of months for signing the LOI, the letter of intent, because this very much defines or is building the frame for the acquisition. The whole structure of the acquisition. So we really wanted to make it to be pretty sure that this will be something we really can walk through, to go through before, just getting or spending so much time. Due diligence takes a lot of time, and so we really wanted to make sure that we are really can live with this kind of structure and with this frame of the deal.
Good. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Lior, what about you? How long did the process take?
It took us around 9 months. I think we went through an auction-based process. And we worked with investment bankers to help us through the process. I think from the day we started until the day we signed the deal was altogether 9 months. Since the day we got a few term sheets. Since the day we signed one, I think it took us probably 2.5 months.
Did you mention that you had multiple buyers at the table at the time?
Yeah, we got a few term sheets. Yes.
Okay, so then you got to pick which one you thought was the most appropriate?
Yes.
Excellent. Did that send up the value of the company? Did that improve the timing and the value? Or did you get to pick the right partner? Or all?
It's very hard to tell, right? You never really know what's
Yeah.
happening on the other side. I think definitely it gave us the opportunity to feel comfortable with. I think you mentioned that your value is really what someone is willing to pay for your company.
Right.
So I think it really made us, going through that process in an organized manner made us feel very comfortable that we're getting really fair value for our company, because this is basically what the market said our value is, and obviously we're happy with that value. Otherwise we wouldn't have went ahead with the transaction. I think at the same time it definitely gave us a lot of exposure to different buyers, and there are lots of differences, not only as far as the financial compensation. There's also differences as far as culture and fit and strategy and kind of what will happen the day after. So I think it also gives the ability to be more picky about the buyer.
Right. And Burkhard, did you have multiple buyers to the table?
Actually, it wasn't so easy because it was just us, the sellers, the stakeholders, or the shareholders actually, and one lawyer doing the deal. And it's also important to know that Ubisoft had held already a 30% stake in our company.
I see.
So it was a little bit difficult aligning more buyers. So it was more or less a mutual decision, a win-win situation, because when we were working with Ubisoft also already before, and so we pretty much knew how they worked, what we would have to expect when we would enter the Ubisoft family. But as an outside developer, there was always some friction, because you're not internal, you don't have access to all their infrastructure and stuff like this. So this really was kind of a logical step, for us to joining the Ubi group. And also it was a good point in time because we were going from a one product company to two product company. So we were developing on two important titles at the same time for Ubisoft. So I think it was just a logical step, to reduce all this friction.
Yeah, that's an interesting case study, very interesting case study. We see different types of acquisitions. Many times buyers will want to have a stake in your business prior to buying you, or will want to be doing a project with you or two projects with you before they buy you. Kabam is a buyer like that, where they like to work with you prior to that acquisition. It's important for you to also be careful. There's good parts of that, and there's not so good parts of that. Is that if they already own a piece of your company, they're likely the only buyer that's going to buy the rest of the company, because other buyers may not be interested if somebody has a 30% stake in your company. So I'm glad it worked out for you, and it can be, keep that in mind when you're doing contracts or long-term deals with people. You want to make sure that they don't own your company before they own your company, essentially. But the good thing is they work things out, and Ubisoft is very, very picky, and they were very happy with the relationship, and they made that acquisition. So it's a good move. It's a really good move. All right, so let's move in.
Can I ask something? On Bee Cave, I know Eric quite well, and Dean has written a lot about you guys, so the PR was okay. But how did it came up? So one day, a group of people within Zynga sat down, had lunch, and said, "Fuck Zynga, we're going to do it ourselves." Woke up next morning, and then you did it. You got 2-3 seed rounds. Suddenly, you get 1.3 million. Where are you guys heading for? Because I think you're a very nice story to follow.
Well, thank you. I think we've all probably said fuck Zynga at one point in our lives in this room. But don't quote me on that, please. It was actually an interesting story. So Eric and I were both, so Eric, our CEO, Eric Bethke, is back in Austin working hard on our blackjack and slots games. And we had both been transferred down to the Austin studio to help build up the casino group there. And Eric did quite well, having sold his previous company to Zynga, and was literally going to sail off into the sunset. He bought a sailboat and was going to go sail the Caribbean. And he had left the company. I left about a month later, and Nimai Mali, our third co-founder and CTO, left about a month after that. And I was doing some consulting, and Nimai had quit. And that evening we were at Nimai's patio. Austin has some brilliant sunsets and some nice warm weather in the evening. We were enjoying some adult beverages on his patio, and talked about, what it would be like if we could have worked together under better circumstances. And
So there was no plan that you had the three, like, we'll leave. It was coincidence.
It really was. I mean, Eric and I
Honest?
knew each other. Yes, I do promise. Eric and I knew each other well at Zynga, but not close. We weren't close friends. We knew each other well, but we learned to kind of be in the trenches together at Zynga Austin. And really, I think we talked Eric out of sailing off into the sunset with kind of the opportunity in the casino space and that tremendous opportunity. And Eric obviously is a key member of our team, and a lot of his contacts led to us being able to raise funds and being able to do so on both independent investors, and then that kind of led to the venture funding from both Matrix Partners, which is Boston and San Francisco based, and then actually one of our European-based individual investors introduced us to Dragon Rise Capital, who's Shanghai and Hong Kong based, the second largest investor in our company.
Cool. And where are you heading for? I mean, are you going to raise more, or do you expect that, because you were sitting here when we had that panel?
It was interesting to listen to the buyers panel. Most of my career, I had been on the buyer side at EA or Zynga, and I was part of the diligence team on casino at Zynga, so sat on the other side of the table many times, and was curious to hear that kind of perception from their side. We've just, as I mentioned, we just raised some money in December. It's going to allow us to kind of market and take our games further. But I anticipate we'll raise a formal A later this year. I don't know for sure. If we start having Double Down or Playtika type success, maybe we won't raise money. But that would be our wildest dreams, I think.
How long did it take you, by the time you sat down on the patio, to the point where you were ready to go and raise money? Was there a fair amount of prep work, and then how much time after that did it take to get those funds in?
It's a good question. We spent probably the first 3 months funding it ourselves, kind of bootstrapping it, and actually our employees, we have 16 employees currently, 10 of which have cash invested in the company and are the largest single individual shareholder behind Matrix. So Eric is a large individual investor. Nimai and myself also have a big chunk of money on the table there. So that's been a very attractive piece in terms of raising money. When you go out to raise money and go to, whether it be an angel investor or a venture fund, if you have your own money kind of on the table and invested in the company, that's viewed as a very positive step.
Yeah, that's a great structure. Yeah, very interesting that your management has that kind of position in the company. Maybe you could relate this off to what you've done and how you experienced. You've raised a lot of money and very successful at it. Take us through that process and the timing of that.
Well, it started approximately 10 months ago. We had an investor, Marker LLC, which invested previously in the company, and they were thinking about reinvesting following the results and what they've seen done so far. It took them quite a while. It took them 6 to 7 months for the entire process and the authorization of that. They did their homework again. They checked the progress we've done. We were very happy to hear that they are reinvesting in the company. And in the same time, a strategic partner, Chihu 360, arrived to Israel as part of the Startup Nation and looking for technologies. They have a full week of meeting startup companies and looking for technologies and seeing what best suits their needs. They met us, and initially this was just a business development meeting. They were looking for some technology to work with. Once they have realized that our technology gives them some capabilities and a delta that they are looking for, integrating our technology into their products, the process was very quick. It was when they realized that they don't only want the technology but rather to invest in the company, it took 2 to 3 weeks just to arrange the actual leading agreements, the main assumptions for the deals, and then 2 to 3 more months just to finalize it all. It concluded together both these steps. So all of a sudden we had these 2 deals on our hands, but they came from completely 2 different directions, one financial and one strategic.
Okay. So the company had a previous investment in the
Yes, we
company.
did have already a few previous investments, but this is the largest
And
one.
did you say that, did they own the majority of the company now, or?
Depend, not really, but
Okay. Well, it's only sure we can check. Yeah. All right. Maybe we'll go across the table here. Talk about some things that you've seen at the conference, the directions and advancements over the last year, 2 years that you've seen in terms of products and technologies and market segments. Tell us what you've seen and where you see some of this going. What are your visions for the future? Jeremy?
So I think there's 2 big trends that impact us at Bee Cave Games. One is the democratization of the ownership with the customer relationship. So whether it be Facebook or another web platform or iOS or Android, whatever it might be, you have a kind of face-to-face relationship with your customer now that I didn't have when I was at EA and making packaged goods products. So we field all of our customer support questions ourselves. We have a very vibrant community that we interact with on a daily basis, and that's going to continue and kind of democratize itself, probably make its way back into the consoles as it already has started. And then I think and I'll call it convergence of social and real money casino, but that I don't necessarily mean the sharing of customers. So one of the previous people in the buyers panel talked about the value of social casino companies really only being in the ability to convert customers into real money casino. I don't know that that's going to be a large and successful business for him. I suspect it's going to be single-digit percentages of customers in both directions, whether it be from social to real money or real money to social. But I'm talking about the convergence in terms of the industries. So Product Madness is a very good example where they've been purchased by Aristocrat, where you have kind of casino industries buying social. You have not only slots manufacturers, but real offline casinos and online casinos all kind of playing in this space. And I put up a graph in my presentation yesterday, which was kind of showing all the intersections, and it looked like a big bowl of spaghetti. You really can't keep track of the amount of convergence in this space, and it's just going to get more and more complex, I think.
That was a great chart. I love that chart because it just shows the mismatch of what's going on in our industry and especially in the casino space, all the interactions and everything like that. It's pretty hard to figure out. So, that was a good presentation. Asaf?
Well, we've been dealing with developers for a long time, and what we're seeing mainly with indie developers is the fact that they are really looking for differentiations, and the fact that the standard way in which they work with the iOS, with the tablets, with the iPhones. It gives them a basic platform, but the need to differentiate is huge. And while the previous platforms and previous phones and have been very basic and just allowed maybe one or two ways to interact with the games, when you speak to developers right now and present them the capabilities to run additional input methods such as gestures or emotions on the same platform they're currently using, without having the need to work on a different development kit, without having the need to redesign their game, but just adding another layer of input, which is the motion input, which was really limited to consoles previously because of the need of computational power and the strength of the consoles, and mobile devices just weren't there yet. And the fact that each and every tablet right now and phone is becoming really powerful allows us and them to start thinking differently. How can they be different? How can they think different? And we're seeing a lot of interest from developers that up until recently were mainly focused on the game itself, but now are much more focused on additional messages to their audience and providing additional user experiences.
Okay. So what I want to do is, sorry, Lior and Burkhard, but I want to, in the interest of time, I'd like to open it up to any questions that people would have for the panelists here. We've got some great panelists here in terms of the ability to raise money, which is very, very difficult, and then completing acquisitions of their companies. So please use this to ask as many questions as you can, and if we don't get to all of them, please corner them afterwards as they're leaving the room. So,
Anyone?
Questions?
Hello. I want to ask the people who sold their companies, what commitment did you have to make after the sale was made? Did all the co-founders stay working at the new company?
Yeah. In our case, it's true. The co-founders, well, actually, we didn't need to stay, so we wanted to stay. We like working within Ubisoft, but otherwise, since our structure of the deal makes it more or less interesting for us to stay longer, it's also some kind of extra motivation we have. So we are not forced to stay, but we're happy to stay.
That's a great relationship. Lior?
Yeah, so in our case, the deal structure has an earn-out component. So that earn-out component is really incentivize us to stay and make sure that the company is performing. I think when the company which is being sold is where the team is quite small, in many cases, I think the founders has a significant role in the company, and for putting myself in the buyer perspective or buyer's shoes. I fully understand why there's the need for to make sure that the buyers are, the founders stay on board and stay commitment. I think the bigger the company is, I think that tie is more loose.
Interesting. Okay. Questions? Yep.
Hi, maybe for Lior. Lior, can you discuss a little bit the day after the deal and kind of the relationship with the parent company, and how that kind of affects the day-to-day? How is that different from before?
Sure. So I was saying that we are very happy, and we had a very, very good. So we saw the company end of 2012, and we had a very good 2013, and a lot of that is because of that acquisition. We see a lot of synergies, mostly. So in our space, it's mostly around the content. So basically, what we have done is basically we took the land-based content and created virtual currency games around that, and that's proven to be very successful for us, and really drove our growth in 2013. I would say there are a few things that we're. So first of all, we spent a lot of time before signing the deal talking about the day after and what will happen, and how the team is going to be structured, the reporting structure. Although doing that from the outside, you don't really always know what it means. What does it mean that we're going to be reporting to that person and not to that person, without really understanding the internal politics of the organization? But I would say there are a few things that I guess we took us by surprise, and we try to address them. I think one is reporting. Apparently, big companies have lots of reporting, and the first few months it just drove us crazy. And instead of spending time running the company, we're busy, creating the quarterly report and the monthly report and the board report and CEO report, and then at some point say, I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't care about those reports. And what we decided to do is, we actually brought a person from the company that acquired us to be reporting to us, person that from the finance department understand all those reporting requirements, and now is basically doing all of that. He's creating the reports. When they're ready, we just basically said, that's fine, send it over. So there are a few things that we had to learn how to walk to, but generally, part of the agreement was that we will be left as a separate entity, a separate business unit, and this is what happened.
All right. Any other questions? All right, I think we'll wrap it up. Please give our panelists a hand for their contribution to this.